Greetings. My name is Stephen Speck. I'm a signature member of the National Collage Society. I'm also a professor of psychology at Utica University in upstate New York. Today I'd like to use a case study and really talk about the creation of a collage composition. I think there's a common misconception about artists sometimes that they have some vision of a final product and then they work to sort of collect images or work with their medium and try to create the vision of that end product. In my case, for collage, the process is actually quite the opposite. That is, I don't have any vision of a final product. I really start from scratch, from nothing, tabula rasa. Of course, the question is, well, where do you start? And like any other artist, I start with thinking about some basic design principles. And one of the things that I try to incorporate in many of my collages is a sense of depth. So one of the things when I'm looking through elements from magazines or books, I like to pay attention to things that sort of strike me, things that impress me with images. And one of those is this notion of depth. So for example, here's an image that I found kind of intriguing because you get this really nice sense of depth with those cylinders in front of these two MPs here. These cylinders going back, so they look like they're receding into the distance because of the difference in size and because of the placement within the visual field. And so I had this element for many months, maybe a couple of years, and it was just sort of sitting around. And that's a topic for another video in terms of how long does it take to process or to create a collage. Sometimes it happens quickly. Sometimes I have images laying around for a long time. So this image sort of impressed me because I know I could use it to create some depth in my composition. Here's another example of an image that really gives a nice sense of depth. It also has really nice lighting as well. So I was sort of paying attention to this element as well. And I like the architectural. And then again, this is another one, architectural and quite some depth cues here. I'm also intrigued by beauty. And when I look through vintage magazines, I often come across beautiful women and beautiful men, and I will often cut those out and for further use. This one I particularly like. It came from I'm not sure what the year was, but a vintage magazine about crocheting clothes. So I wanted to use this image. And interestingly, here are some other images from that magazine, and you can just see these very strong, beautiful women in this image. I actually used one of these women in a collage composition I did, probably about 12 years ago. Here's the collage. Anyway, for this particular collage that I want to talk to you about creating. So I started with these four elements, several of them having to do with depth perception, and then this beautiful woman. So this is what I started to experiment with. And this is what I mean, starting from scratch, from a blank slate. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do with these images, but I started experimenting, and this is one of the ways that I first put these together. And there you see it. So now sort of integrating all of these gray patina. Also have this nice depth within the visual field of this composition. Wasn't sure what I was going to do from there. I thought maybe I could emphasize the woman's face, and so I decided to add a couple of elements. And you see here the original, and then I had some of those kind of spiky things. They weren't working out so well. It's too gray, got lost. Then I thought of another design, basic design concept of contrast, and I tried the colored addition there around her head. That didn't seem to work for me. Again, I'm in my studio doing some experimentation, so I tried some other things. And here are the others. Should I put a planet or a moon or some kind of orb behind her? Perhaps. Then I came across this, I don't know what it is, a conical, image going into the distance. I said, gee, I kind of like that. And there's just enough color there. It's not overwhelming. And I said, well, maybe I can go with that element. The problem is, let's go to the next image. So here's sort of what I was looking at, but that image was getting a little bit lost with the ceiling, okay? So this area here, so I said, you know what I'm going to try? Maybe I will cut out that part of the ceiling. And so that's what you see here. I wanted to retain that little support wire or whatever it was. So that was a little bit of micro cutting to get that. And then you see the difference here, right? It really sort of it really sort of emphasizes that woman's head and face. So I like that. Then there's another part here. If you look on the left, you'll see that door is just blank, just closed. And so I decided to cut that out there. That's what I'm talking about. And it really opens things up and integrates the images together. Okay, because recall, those two architectural elements are quite separate. The next thing I had to decide was whether or not to have one of this woman's arms over the side or two. So here, this is what I'm talking about here. And I decided to go with just the one. With two, it looked too much like she was leaning over. Okay. So there's the image, and I feel like I'm getting pretty close to what I want for my collage. But in the center, again, that going up the staircase, I felt like it could use something else. And so I tried this orb in the room. Now, that's not actually an astronomical orb. That's taken from some element that I had in my scrap pile, but it gave me really nice patina with this room. So here it is with the orb. And I think it really adds something to the composition. Now, I'll show you one more image here. On the left is where I had the orb originally, and then I decided to move it over a little bit because the orb was getting lost. And so just that slight movement really makes it stand out. And this is, again, fodder for another video, because just that amount of change really makes the image pop out. So here is the final composition. I had no idea that this is what it was going to be when I started. And I'll just go through the elements here. 1, 2, 3 elements, 4, 5, 6, and 7 elements. Okay, that's what this collage is made from. And here is the final piece in a black frame. And so that's the image. I certainly did not have that in my head when I started this project, but I'm very satisfied with the way it turned out. So I think that experimentation and attention to the details of basic design and let things emerge in your studio as they happen in mine, and oftentimes you'll get something that is pleasing to you because you created it. So I hope this helps, and thank you for watching.